Guys, my name is Bob Stewart. I play a lot of kind of hats here at Brivity. I guess my primary one is like evangelist. So today I'm gonna evangelize what I think is probably the coolest ad product that I've ever been a part of in my 19 years in real estate. And Grant, as you know of my history, I started doing advertising in real estate, right? You and I both were doing this before there was a Google, right? We were feeding listings up into a thing called Overture, which was owned by Yahoo. And we've been doing this for a while. And obviously the landscape has changed, right? There's a Google now, there's a Facebook now, there's apps and these crazy app networks. But here's why we built Brivity Connect. And I want to kind of share a story with the audience today here, Grant. So there are some problems that we identified. And, I've been doing this for 19 years, and Ben Kinney's business, the founder of Brivity, he's got sales teams on the ground all over the United States. He started here in Bellingham, Washington. He's been doing it up here for 15 years. We've been doing internet leads for a long time. And there are some problems, we think. Let's just go through some of these problems with internet leads today, Grant, and just in the landscape before Brivity Connect. So often, Grant, they don't remember they visited or how you got their info. Right? Yeah. Like maybe if you're one of those agents that's capable of having the systems in place and you're making phone calls in the first 3 minutes or 5 minutes, they might pick the phone up and know who you are, right? But if you don't get to them for an hour, you don't get to them till the next day, like they don't remember. They might have been on 5 websites yesterday, right? And over the last week, if they're really getting kind of interested in they might have been on 10. Like they don't remember your website. Right? They don't remember how they found it. You get people on the phone, they're like, I don't know. I was on this website and I clicked somewhere else and I ended up on your site, I think. Like they don't know. Right? The second thing is when you do call them, and look, some agents, they're not able to call them in that first 5 minutes, right? They're maybe calling an hour later or the next day, but they don't know why you're calling them, right? They kind of remember doing something yesterday at work, or maybe you're one of those agents, you're not on top of your leads, you're calling them a week later and they're like, I don't even know who you are. What is this? Right? They don't know who you are, right? So they don't know why you're contacting them and they don't know who you are, right? But beyond that, Grant, because you can tell them, right? We get them on the phone, we tell them who we are. They don't care. And one of the reasons they don't care who you are, Grant, is traditionally for real estate leads, right? Leads that we generate on the internet. Those things are 9 to 12 months away from actually buying or selling. And in some cases, it's 2 years, right? They're not going to buy or sell for a long time. So we show up, they were on our website, and we show up thinking, oh, they need our help, but they don't. They're a long ways out. They don't know who we are. They can't remember the website they're on. And they don't care. Like they don't actually care about what our needs or our wants are when we show up to them trying to help them buy or sell a house, because they're not ready yet, right? They're not ready. They're not ready to buy, sell, or invest today. And so what you end up getting is a bunch of leads this month that aren't going to buy for 9 to 12 months. And how do you manage that, right? You can do a really high volume of leads, and what you end up having happen is lots of them slip through the cracks because they're not going to buy for 9 or 12 months. And you may not have the best systems in place to kind of follow up with somebody over that really long period of time. So there's some problems kind of on the consumer side, right? And a lot of that gears around they're not ready, right? They're not ready when they first sign up on that website, when they first kind of raise their hand to really just say, I'm kind of curious in real estate, right? I'm kind of curious about what my next house might look like in 9 or 12 months. Now, there's some problems on the agent side as well, right? And some of those problems are, we don't know what they were doing, right? They were looking at a property on our website, but we don't know if they were doing that because they're going to invest in that property. Maybe that's going to be the next one they want to buy. Maybe they're looking for their mom, right? Like we don't know what their intent is when they come into our world.
Yep.
We don't know enough about their wants and needs. If we're lucky, right? If we've got Brivity and we were doing kind of our traditional ad platform, maybe we can see a listing they looked at, maybe, right? But a lot of times we don't know anything beyond that. They looked at a 3-bedroom house in Bellingham. That tells us nothing about, their motivation, how soon do they need to move, what's important to them in a house, right? Like, why are they going to pick the house that they're ultimately going to pick? Do they have to sell another house before they buy this one? Like most often with a real estate lead, we know nothing. we have to make cold calls, right, Grant? Even sometimes when they were on your website an hour ago and you make that call to them, it feels cold, right? They don't remember what website they were on. They never really registered your brand or your picture or your name or any of that stuff, right? They were just focused on houses. So even though they were on your website, that call is cold, right, Grant? It's not, they're not answering and going, oh my goodness, you're the Ben Kinney team. I've been waiting for you to call. I see you guys everywhere. They're like, who is this? What? I don't know, right? And by the way, probably can't differentiate you from any of the other 3 other websites they were on today because they're out clicking on any real estate ads that show up to them, and real estate ads are showing up to them everywhere. So they don't recognize us or our brand, which makes the call harder, right?
Yeah.
Here's another problem. They don't come back to your website enough, Grant, because they forget. Right? Like even a really great URL like realtor.com or Zillow, he's kind of short, catchy. He's like, think about a Zillow, for example, Grant. How many millions of dollars do you think they've spent on branding and just hammering into consumers' heads the idea of their name of their website?
Absolutely.
Hundreds of millions potentially of dollars spent for people to remember Zillow, right? They're not going to remember Bob Stewart sells homes in Bellingham.com, right? And the idea that they might bookmark it or just come back there of their own volition, it doesn't happen. Okay, we have analytics and tracking on thousands of websites. We know with certainty it's very, very rare that somebody makes a direct go to their browser, type in a URL, and that's how they enter your site. That's super rare, right? They enter your site because we re-engaged them and drove them back, or we had a listing alert set up that was sending them properties to drive them back. They are not coming back to your website just of their own volition today. Now, there's the potential they might someday soon, right? And that's why we built Brivity Connect. So, and then we don't convert enough of our old leads, or our sphere forgets about us, right? I would imagine on this call, some of these names I recognize, some of you guys, I've probably even been in a few of your databases. A lot of you guys on this call have old leads that you spent dollars on, right? It was an old Google lead. It was an old Facebook lead. It was an old lead from one of the other, one of your platforms that you might have had at some point, or maybe you even still have today. And it's just sunk costs into your business. It was a $29 pay-per-click lead. It was a $85 Zillow lead. Those old leads, we forget about them. They've long forgotten about us. They forgot about us 10 seconds after they signed up on our website. But we are not converting these old people, and we're not staying kind of close enough in front of our sphere that we're top of mind always for them. So these are some problems that we've identified, Grant, right? And look, I think anybody that's worked internet leads, nobody's over there going, wow, I didn't even know that was a problem. Like, we know these are problems. These are inherent in a lead that's signing up today to potentially do something a year from now, right? Like, this is just the dynamics of what real estate leads have always been. So what would it be like, Grant, if we could target specific individuals who are ready to buy, sell, or invest?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it?
Would be. Yeah.
Let's see if we can get to that point, right? What about, instead of just showing them properties on our website, we continued to market to them properties across the web after they left your website?
Yeah.
Because right now they come to your website, and when they leave, that's it. It's done, right? They've got this faint memory of having been on your website, and 3 days later, that memory's gone because they went back and searched somewhere else and ended up on another website.
Yeah.
Right? What if instead we could follow them around the internet, showing them similar properties to the ones they've been looking at? That's really powerful potentially. Grant, what if wherever they searched or visited online, right? Not even when they were just thinking about real estate. What about when they were thinking about the news, or they were going to get a recipe that they were going to cook tonight, right? What if they were playing their Candy Crush app at night, Grant? We were popping an ad up in their face when they had to wait the 15 seconds for their next game, right? What if after they had been on our site, we just followed them around, showing off your brand, your logo, offers to help them buy or sell anywhere they went on the internet, right? Thousands. I mean, Grant, you sent me the spreadsheet, tens of thousands of websites out there, right? Where we can follow these people around, reinforcing your brand to them. That might take care of a few of those problems that we talked about earlier. What if, just close your eyes, Grant. Like do some yoga or something. What if all of our leads, all of our past clients, and all of our sphere always had us top of mind? What if when we called an old lead, they said something like, man, Grant, you must spend $1 million on advertising. I see you everywhere. Right? What if we were top of mind with old leads that we'd never talked to before? What are we with top of mind with that past client that we haven't really loved on like we meant to, that we sold a house to 2 years ago, who's got a couple of friends who are getting ready to buy a house, right? We think, what if sellers, right? What if sellers that you know, kind of came into your world way in advance of when they would actually sell? What if they just saw you everywhere? What if they thought to themselves, Grant Gould, this guy up in Bellingham, Washington, he must spend, I don't know, $100,000. And whatever it is, it's a lot, because everywhere I go, when I'm on CNN, there's Grant's face. When I go to the Bellingham Herald, there's Grant. When I go to Better Housekeeping to find a recipe, that guy is all over the place. They'd think I was probably the best person to go out and sell their house. So we built it. We built something, Grant, that did all those things that we just said, what if it did this, right?
Yep.
And we've been building it. And ta-da! We call it Brivity Connect, okay? So I'm the pitch man. Grant's the brains behind this operation. So we're going to dive into Brivity Connect, talk about what it is, and Grant's going to, you know, he's going to kind of, what is it, take the mask off the wizard a little bit, right? So before we do that, we've been beta testing this for a couple months now, 4 or 5 months, Grant. We've been doing it with a combination of Ben Kinney's teams. So Ben Kinney owns Brivity. He's got the largest expansion sales organization in the United States. They're going to do 5,000 sales this year is what they're tracking for here by the end of December. So we had about 20 of our teams that have been testing this. We've had another 12 or 15 just Brivity clients that have had this Brivity Connect running in their respective marketplaces. Here's what some of them have had to say about it. This is Phil. He's out there in Cary, North Carolina. He hasn't been on this thing for very long, right? But in his first 20 days, he had 148 leads. 9 of those they've called hot, right? And in Phil's world, hot means they're going to buy or sell in the next 90 days. Okay, they've had 15 nurtures, people that are going to buy or sell. They think in 3 to 6 months. 14 watches, people, those people that are 6 months or more out, they're 9 months, 12 months, 18 months. But Phil's going to stay in front of these people, right? He's going to do business with all of those leads. Now he's going to get more of them, right? More of them are going to turn into something, and we'll kind of explore how that's going to unfold for Phil. They have 5 buyer agency agreements signed, right? Their cost per lead is over half of what they were spending at the last place. Okay. And the last place is one of the big names. You guys, if I threw it out there, you guys will all know what it was, right? It's not Brivity, it was somewhere else, right? He was paying twice as much per lead. And by the way, Phil would tell you, not having quite as much success. Here's Jacqueline. So Jacqueline is one of our Ben Kinney teams. She operates in Vancouver, Washington. Jacqueline's business is going to do 2.5 million. Actually, she passed over already this year, 2.5 million in GCI. She has an amazing business down in Vancouver, Washington. Their ROI has been, she's tracking this thing close, 10.4x, right? So for every dollar she spends into Brivity Connect, they're getting $10.40 back in GCI. Now, they had a lead who came into their system and they had a contract on them in 4 days. Absolutely not the norm, right, Grant? Not the norm. But it becomes more normal with Brivity Connect than with the old ad products, and we're gonna kind of uncover why that is. So Ken, he just started, guys, just got started. But the reason that I'm showing you Ken's testimonial isn't because there's a bunch of impressive numbers in here. He just got started. That second sentence, 3 of my buyer's agents have already thanked me for the big increase in new leads. They say the best part is the leads really want to talk to them. There is a mindset inside of your business that can very easily get polluted if all I'm doing is calling people that don't answer, that when they answer, they don't know who I am, that when they answer, they can't remember having been on my website, that when they answer, they're not ready to buy it for 18 months, right? Like that can really suck the soul out of a sales team. And so I show you Ken's because I want you to know that these leads can actually like pump life into your agents and your team. And that's what Ken's starting to experience within like his first week of starting on Brivity Connect.
I'll also add, Bob, that I was on the phone yesterday afternoon with somebody who they're probably about 3 or 4 weeks into it. They came on kind of late as a test. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they said is that their agents, one of their agents, commented that it used to be like a desert in their CRM, and now they just see so much activity that, again, what you said about changing the mindset, that they like now going in, and they're seeing all these revisits and how many properties they're looking at, and all of a sudden they're seeing all their agents get energized to being excited to call and follow up on leads, which I think is more than half the battle.
Oh, it's easily over half the battle. I mean, look, you're not going to sell a house to somebody, Grant, if you don't talk to them on the phone. Like, you have to call them on the phone. And part of this is the motivation to want to do that, because you think that next phone call, there's a higher likelihood that person's going to be ready to transact than just the average internet lead, where I know those people on average are 9 to 12 months away. So this is Jeff Ellert, and I see some really awesome questions coming in. We'll get to your guys' questions here in just a bit. Since September, and again, this is just since he started, right? They've been averaging 4 closings a month for an extra $40,000 a month in GCI, based on kind of the average price points in Las Vegas, where Jeff and his team operate. Their goal in 2021 is to drive an additional $189,000 a month in GCI. And the comment Jeff has made to Grant is, this thing is snowballing, right? It's snowballing because, again, look, not every single lead is going to be Jacqueline lead that's ready to go in 4 days. Some of these people are still 9 to 12 months out, but we've built a system to make sure that if they're 3 months out, if they're 6 months out, if they're 9 months out, you are going to be there, and you are going to be so omnipresent in their experience online that it's going to be really hard for them not to choose you. By the way, most buyers interview one agent. It's a really high number, right? NAR does their study every year. Most buyers go with that first agent that they meet face to face, or they talk to on the phone. So it's snowballing for Jeff down there in Vegas. So what is this thing? Well, basically what we want to do is we want that guy's face, that handsome man in the middle of this deal. That's your lead, and we're going to surround your lead with your brand, the properties they might be interested in your website, everywhere they go. Yep. Okay, everywhere they go, Grant. So this is kind of the map of what this thing looks like, right? And we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit, but we're capturing these people for you. Now, these people could also be folks that are already in your database, right? And we can go out and try to re-engage those people that are already in the database. But we're running a whole variety of ad sets, right, on a whole bunch of different platforms in order to get these people kind of engaged initially, right? And that could mean re-engaging people that are already in the database. We got to get people engaged. Once they take action on our ads, right, then we start to follow them. And we're going to dive into how we do that, right? We start to follow them around everywhere they go, presenting certain calls to action at the right time, okay? And then we're going to make it a little bit easier for you to convert, right? And some of the stuff, auto plans, that's something, if you're a Brivity client today, you have auto plans, and you're probably running those on the leads that you're bringing in today, right? But we can get you some additional data, some additional insights. We can make these calls warmer. And ultimately, at the very end of the day, that icon in the bottom right hand, the appointments, like, that's what we're looking to help you get, right? More of those appointments on the same volume of leads that you had before, right? Grant, we can do more business in a couple ways. We have more leads coming in, or we can get better at converting the ones that we have. And those are our two options, right?
Yep.
We're going to help you get better at the ones that you have, or potentially take a similar budget you might be spending somewhere else, increase the volume, and help you get better at converting them. Grant, explain to me kind of what I see here, the difference between like a Brivity lead and the amount of engagement that happens on one of those things versus like just what's always kind of happened with leads, those other lead nurturing systems that are out there? Like, just talk me through this slide for a second.
Sure. And you had said it once before, and that is that every single person who comes into our systems is on a journey, and it's their journey, not our journey. That some people come into our system at the end of their journey and they're ready to get in the car and you're making an offer in a week. Where other people are at the very beginning of their journey. And that's why I like to call it the life of a lead, because the life of a lead can be, can be 6 months, it can be a year, it can be a year and a half. But let's just call it a year. That the idea is, and really what's been missing and what we've been striving for from day one, Ben has, is how do we stay lockstep with people from the time they become a lead until they're ready to take action. That's what this represents, that we have all these different tools, whether it's listing alerts, whether it's the dialer, auto plans, the auto texts, emails, etc. And now we've just added this whole new layer where we're following people now all over the internet digitally. So we're following them not just with we're following them with things they'll be interested in, which we'll talk about more here in a minute. But the idea here is that all of those little tick marks, those represent during their journey the number of times we're presenting ourselves to them, because all of us who know anything about marketing know that marketing is really a matter of it's how do I occupy their mind space? How do I make my brand synonymous with the words real estate, buying and selling? And that's what we're doing here. That's again, that's been Ben's goal from day one. That's how he does 5,000 transactions a year. So this bottom part here, that really represents, pretty much what the norm is. I made a call, maybe I made another call, maybe I started the automation, maybe I didn't, maybe I set up an alert, maybe I didn't. And at the end of the day, it's did they make a purchase with you, or did they make a purchase with who? Because they're going to make a purchase. It's just a matter of, is it you that they're going to think about?
Yeah. And if you think about you think about this condensed down, let's say that they only had a 3-month, in 3 months, my 5 or 6 little tick marks down there at the bottom, that's not, it's not great. It's not super horrible. But you extend this out to 2 years and think about, we can keep up the consistency on the top version of this over as long as it takes them to decide they're ready to buy or sell, right? The bottom one is generally dependent on you to do a lot of the heavy lifting there. So let's keep going in. So if you were to engage us to do Brivity Connect on your behalf, you became a client of Grant and his team, you're not just getting kind of ads, right? You've got a dedicated ad team. You've got, I would call Grant our tactician, right? We're going to meet with you. We're going to talk to you about your market. What types of leads would you like to go after? Like Jeff Eller, the gentleman that we had showed his stuff from Vegas, his testimonial earlier, he's doing a bunch of targeting around homes that, in a certain price range with pools, right, Grant? And we can get very kind of, these are not kind of a one size fits all. You guys all run different styles of businesses. You all target different types of clients. We're going to work with you, right? Our tactician, Grant, is going to work with you to figure out what is your campaign going to look like, right? We're going to build a custom campaign for your business based on who and what you would like to target. We've got amazing support. We're analyzing these campaigns all the time. I would say, if you're running your own ad stuff right now, you either love it to death and it's your one thing, right? It's your favorite thing to do. You do it all the time. You probably do it in lieu of actually being out selling houses, right? You maybe have a role on the team or something where that's you're the rainmaker, you're responsible for driving leads. If that's not you and you're dabbling even in lead generation, you're probably doing very little analysis, right, to make your dollars stretch as far as they possibly can, or to really dial in on, certain types of customers or clients or or be able to go in there and see like, ooh, this campaign is really doing well. Let's double down there and let's take some money off of this one here. Like that whole process of analyzing, we have a team that does that all day long. They sit around with computer screens and they're in these programs that I look at and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of data on the screen there. Like, what are you even looking at there? But they're analyzing these things, right? We've got a success coach and we have a team for you. Designers, right? Josiah and his design team are out there creating a lot of this collateral that Grant is using to go out and put your brand and present your brand in front of these people. So it's not just, it's not just like, we're gonna get you leads. Like we have a team built to do this at the highest level. If you're not using something like this, you're essentially a FISBO, Grant, right? Like you're doing this on your own and you're not an expert. You don't do this all day long. You're not certified by Google and Facebook and you're not constantly training yourself on the little tweaks that they make to their advertising all the time, right? Like you should really have this in the hands of a professional. So you get a team of professionals that do this. So let's talk about the capture for a second. When you get an internet lead today, what do you get, Grant?
A name, an email, and maybe a phone number. Maybe the email is correct.
Yeah. If you're a Brivity client today, you maybe what one property they looked at or something on that first time they visited the website, right? When you're a Brivity Connect lead, we're gonna get you their name, email, and phone number. It's a layup, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna get you their time frame if you care. I think you would, right? We can do intent-based questions where we go out and as the lead is being kind of engaged that first time, we can ask them whatever you want, right? Now, we could ask them 50 questions if you wanted. What happens in this scenario, Grant, we've been testing this a lot. I mean, we've been testing this way longer than just Connect, right? Yeah. Every extra question we ask, it adds a little bit of cost to that lead, right? But
a dollar or two.
Dollar
per question.
Dollar per question. Yeah. And it's just, you have a form that has 3 things for them to answer on it. More people are going to answer that when you add a 4th thing for them to answer, right? Or a 5th thing. But Grant's team is going to work with you to figure out, what do you care about, right? What would be some examples of some intent-based questions that we're using today, Grant?
Do you currently own a home?
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to follow up, with a logical, what's the address of the home you own? Again, you're going to probably cut your conversion rate in half by doing that. But some agents, they'd rather have better leads than, less leads with higher intent than more volume. So it's really, and
you get to pick, right, Grant? They get to pick. We're not going to force on you that, hey, you're just getting this style lead. Here it is. Our team works with you to figure out like what are the things that are most important to you, and what is your threshold for those extra questions, right? That does make the lead a little bit more expensive, right? Yep. We're going to see properties viewed. We're going to see them returning. Like almost every single Brivity Connect lead like has these elements involved in it. Now their return might not happen for 2 weeks or 2 months, right? But we're engaging them over this long journey that they're on. Grant said it really well. I think it's not our journey, it's theirs, right? We'd love it if every person we jumped on the phone with was like, I'm ready to go, Grant. I got a big bag of cash, and like if you can just find me a house, I'll just plunk it down. That's not what happens, right? They're 12 months, they're 18 months, but we're going to stay with them that whole journey. Yeah. So it's going to be increased lead volume. I've been in these accounts. I don't have any question that we can get you an increased volume probably over any other thing you're spending advertising dollars on. These are qualified, engaged leads. There's faster conversion times, not on all the leads. But what happens is when we're engaging everything, the cream floats to the top, Grant. Right? So we're able to help you identify on any set of 100 leads, who are those best ones that I should be focused on? And we keep just surfacing them for you over and over.
Yep.
Just like we saw in our friend's testimony earlier, we're going to have more motivated agents, right? We're going to be able to communicate smarter. Go ahead, Grant.
I was going to say, how many pages did it take you? I think it took me 6 pages, 50 on a page, to get through the first day revisits in the Ben Kinney team Bellingham database.
Yeah, I'm gonna show him that one here in just a little bit.
That's insane.
Yeah, because they got massive website traffic, right? Our second to the last bullet point right there. And it's managed on your behalf by experts, right? People that are like, Grant, you've been doing this, you've been in the ad world before there was an internet, really. I mean, I don't want to date you, my friend, but you worked at an ad agency, like an old school ad agency you and your dad ran, that where you were placing ads in magazines and stuff, right? And newspaper ads and obviously the early internet and the AOLs and all these places, and a lot of them aren't even overtures that aren't even here anymore. Experts, guys, people that have been doing this for decades, right? That are certified, that work with all the Google and the Facebook tools and all these app networks and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So on here, I'm going to show you guys some examples of some ads, and I'm going to use Facebook, guys. We run ads in Instagrams and lots of different app networks. There's lots of different places. Facebook is the one that is the biggest audience, right? So we're definitely running them there. So I'll give you some examples here. We'll kind of walk through the life cycle of one of these people kind of coming through. So this is Jeff Eller. We saw his testimonial earlier there in Vegas. And in fact, I mentioned that he's targeting people who are interested in Henderson, which is a little suburb of Las Vegas with, between 500,000 and $1 million with private pools, right? And so that's kind of the ad set that we see here. There's a carousel ad. It's got 10 different homes for them to look through, right?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
One thing which is important about why we're doing that is because we're targeting people who live in the Vegas area. And we're specifically looking for people who are in communities that have community pools. But guess what's happened to those community pools?
They're shut down.
Exactly, because of COVID. They're not able to enjoy their lifestyle. So this becomes a really good target to attract those peoples. And if the leads that come in might own a condo already or own in another community. So not only are they buying a $500 to $1 million private pool house, guess what they're also doing? They're selling the house on the other end. So that becomes a really nice transaction.
So as they come through here, we use Google, or in the Facebook world, we use Facebook forms. Randy said, is this similar to like the KW command? No, it's like that with a shot of anabolic steroids right in the butt. And you'll see this unfold here over the next couple slides, Randy. So the Facebook forms gives you much higher conversions, right? And we're not the only people out there using Facebook forms. You get really high conversion rates on that. It autofills their information. It's pulling their info from Facebook, right? So that when it's all set, we've got a lead. Now, what we do is, and this is where it starts to kind of divert from what other people are doing, right? Is we pass them through to your website logged in. And that's a really, really, really big deal. Really big deal, right? The command doesn't pass them through anywhere. You just get a lead that's like, here's the property they looked at. You got a lead. Good luck, right? We pass them through to your website and we start now tracking them, right? Pixels, cookies, these things, these kind of, the magic of the internet, right? We start tracking this person, but they land on your website logged in, which is a big deal because remember they looked at one property. Now they're in they're in your environment. They could look at other stuff, and they do often, right? Some leads come back and they just hit that one property and they go, okay, cool, I'm out of here. We're going to show you what happens to those people, right? But some of them look at multiple properties after coming through and passing into our website. That piece right there, guys, where we take a Facebook form and when they complete it, we throw them into your website logged in. Nobody else is doing that. It's a huge deal. Susie, thank you. That's a huge, huge deal, you guys. And I hope you grasp the gravity of how big that piece is. We spent a lot of time, months, you guys, developing a really complex way to do this, right? So that, every lead that comes in on all these campaigns goes to the right website, gets the person logged in, you get the data back in your CRM, and that journey starts.
Yeah, right? Not only that, just even having, because we're able to do this now, in the timeline, you see that first event, which is the property they clicked on from Facebook that brought them into your system. So now your agents, can have something to call them about. And that's a huge deal. I hear it over and over and over again, how that really changed everything for people doing Facebook
Richard, if they already have an account inside of your deal there, if they're coming in off of that same email address, it'll sort all that out and it would drop them into their account. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk lower cost, higher quality. So we are, and again, this is an example ad, Facebook, because it's kind of it is the biggest platform out there, right? So we're going to target ads to a specific audience. Grant, talk a little bit about kind of, a few years ago, Grant, we used to really be able to do some serious targeting inside of Facebook, right? But the 2016 election ended that. Like the type of targeting you could do, it was almost illegal in real estate, right? Like you could target on ethnicity and age and things that, like in real estate, we're prevented from actually targeting advertising around. Yep. What is Facebook's kind of targeting environment like, or what these app networks, these things? Talk about that kind of, how do we ascertain that audience?
Sure. So yes, it's very limited. It looks very limited, especially if you're in there trying to do it yourself. But there's actually lots of little mechanisms and settings. For instance, I can do an ad that only targets, now that I have to do a radius. So let's just say I'm doing a radius around Bellingham, right? Well, I could do the radius around Bellingham, but maybe I want to do the radius where I only want to show my ad to people living in. Or maybe I want to show my ad to people recently in, or maybe I want to show my ad to people that are planning to travel to. So again, if I'm in a second home market, I don't want to run people living in. I want to run people who have been recently in or are planning to travel in, especially if it's right before the holiday when everyone goes there. That I'm going to show my property ads. Now, the other big thing is it's actually using, it's the ads that actually it's the properties that drive the behavior, right? So setting up the right set of properties, like in Bellingham, for instance, we run a Bellingham Bayview single family, 700,000 or more to people who live in Bellingham and only. Now, we know that if they are looking at 700,000 and they're for real and with Bayviews and they live here already, they probably already own a house. And that's actually resulted in quite a few, a few listing appointments, even early on in it. Another campaign that we're running, we just started in Portland. Great example. We're running 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 2-car garage in Hillsborough or Beaverton, which is where Nike and Intel are, to people who are planning on going or people who recently were there, because they get a lot of people coming in. The one big thing the agent said that everybody wants when they buy a house there is a garage, because it rains all the time. So,
what?
It's the number one question he gets, he says, in the feature requests. So that's a campaign we just launched, and I think it's going to do really well. So that becomes part of our conversation together when I do a consultation call with someone, is let's figure out what the dynamics are in being able to work around the limitations that are going on.
Love it. So we're gonna work with you to target a specific audience with your ad set. Okay. Now, after a little while, and we start to collect some data on your website, right? And your ads are creating kind of a trail, some data that we can then use. Talk to me about lookalike audiences and how we create them using high intent activities. And then we get these people that are doing stuff on our website that's high intent. What do we then do with them to kind of additionally maximize our ability to target?
Sure. So one of the best tools we have, as long as we have the data to support it, is the ability to create first custom audiences, which are basically through Google or Facebook's Pixel, is basically tagging people into. And it's anonymous because they keep all of that data anonymous, but it's in the background, it's the profile of that person. So one of the things that we like to tag that we've built a lot of customization now into our website to be able to tag special events like search is a good example. And by tagging people who participated that actually participated in a home search on our IDX website, that's a high intent activity versus the person who maybe clicked in and clicked out, right? Do we really want to find more people like that? No. So what we're able to do then is once we build enough data points, enough of a sample size that Facebook or Google can match up data points properly, we then are able to do what's called a lookalike audience of that group. Mm-hmm. And when you layer that onto some of the other interest targets or geographic, radius targets or other things that we're doing, it really enhances your targeting abilities with people.
Here's how I think about this. We got some people that are taking high intent activities, right? And we don't know much about those people. But there are a couple of folks that do know a lot about those people, Google and Facebook, right? Yep. And so what we do is we go, hey, I got a set, maybe it's 500 people. I got 500 people that have done a home search on my website. And here's another 200 that have favorited a property. I want to give you these 700 people, Google and Facebook. I want you to look at them. Here, it's an audience.
Right.
Now, they know on any given person in that audience, by the way, like they know, oh, okay, this person was doing that. They also do all these other things on the internet. Right? And their algorithms crunch out, and we're actually helping them, right? We're enhancing their algorithms by saying, hey, here's a bunch of people that do this one common thing. Go find me more people like them. And their algorithms are always working in the background. If any of you guys have seen The Social Dilemma, it's a fascinating documentary on Netflix, but it talks about, Google, Facebook, these app networks, their sole intent, literally the only reason they exist is to get advertisers dollars, right? They want our dollars. I mean, that is literally why they exist. And so if we're willing to spend dollars to generate, prospects for our business, they take every opportunity to get those people to click and drive towards us, because when they do that, when they take action, right, Grant, that's when Facebook and Google get paid. And so they're going to put in front of the right people our ads, because the more that they can put it in front of somebody that goes, ooh, this is interesting, I'm going to click on that, that's when they get paid.
Yep.
And so we are helping them, right? We're saying, hey, here's some people, go find us other people like this. And they are much obliged to do that, right? Like that's literally why they exist. That stuff too, when you think about like, they say, okay, here's a bunch of people that you have. We're going to go find some other people like that. Think about how these algorithms work, you guys. And this social dilemma it's a really fascinating look at this. But like, if I had two people that they could serve my ad up to, right? And one lady, she scrolls her Facebook, and every time there's a real estate ad, she just doesn't even pause. She just keeps scrolling right by it, right? Yep. The next lady, every time she sees an ad, she doesn't click, but man, she slows down. She spends 2 or 3 or 5 seconds looking at that. Maybe she even carousels through a couple houses, but she doesn't click, right? Who is now? Facebook's controlling who to show that ad to again, right? Later. And at what frequency to show that ad to somebody potentially. Who's going to get that ad served up to them next? The lady that slowed down, right? She's going to be next in line to get the ad again, right? Not the person that just went boom, 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 right by. Facebook's going to actually double down on the person that showed even minimal intent, right? And their algorithms are working feverishly to get people to click on our ads. And so, we can do this stuff, right? But when we double down with this extra layer, it makes it even better. So we can get you leads, right? We'll get them in there. Now, once we get the leads, how do we engage them? Okay. How do we ultimately take these people that we've captured that are now in the database, or even people that we didn't capture, they were just in your database already, right? Your sphere, your past clients, existing leads you had in there. And how do we engage them? So we built this thing called Zach. And our friend Zach isn't on the call today. He was on the last call we did, so we got to play around a little bit with him. But Zach is zealously and accurately checks houses. So Grant, explain to me kind of what Zach is and why we built it, and in some ways, it's a little bit of our secret sauce, right? Like people can run Facebook ads. You can go do it on your own. You know, there's places like Command or some of these other systems out there like have Facebook ads. But talk to me about Zach. Why did we build this?
Well, Zach is actually a part of that front end lead gen component, right? And what Zach does is, as you can see here, we're building we load properties up into what's called the catalog inside of Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's basically the properties, the feed or the parameters that we want Facebook to build the carousel ads out of. Mm-hmm. So what Zach does is that Zach lets us really customize. You can see here, you know, we're doing Northwest MLS. Office ID is the office ID of the Keller Williams office here in Bellingham. There's Bayview in this one. It's between 300 and 400,000. The bedrooms and the baths are there, and you know, and then the site we're using for the connection with when somebody looks at a house. That we're able to connect them back to that property on the website when they click through. So, because again, it's one thing to collect the lead. It's a whole nother that you complete the experience where they're logged in like you showed earlier, but then also at the same time, we know how to direct them so they're dropping right in on that house that they really wanted to see. And that actually creates the next part of the secret sauce, because right off the bat, we're tagging them that, oh, they like properties like that, which is where we go into the part 2 of this.
So Zach is going to then start helping us get the right properties in front of those people the next time we serve them up an ad, right? Because today we served them up some kind of an ad. They took action on that, and the action they took gives us more data to refine what we then start serving up to them moving forward. So it's not just this one-time ad designed to get them to enter your website.
Yep.
After they've done that, we now start following them with similar properties. So let's say they come in on that Bayview listing at 385,000, right, Grant? But once they got in there, they started looking in a totally different area. They were like looking over in Ferndale and at the houses, a bunch of houses between 400,000 and 500,000. We're going to figure that out really fast, and we're going to start shifting those ads to showing them the things they were looking at instead of the first thing they looked at. Right now,
next time they see an ad, they're going to see ads in that area as well.
They're going to see Ferndale ads all of a sudden with houses between 400,000 and 500,000 because that's what they were looking at on your website, right? Yep. So this retargeting, where we go after them later with properties similar to the ones that first drove them to us, or ones they looked at once they were there. Now think about an old lead, right? We take an old lead, we put them on a listing alert, drives them back to our website. We drop the pixels on their browser. And when they were on our website, they started looking at, you know, random properties in Bellingham, like boom, now they're starting to get followed around, even though they weren't a lead we first even generated for you, right?
I've seen people in CRMs where we're running these things, where in the first 30 days, they have over 40 visits and 50 plus properties they viewed.
Just in the first
30 days.
Back. They're coming back multiple times a day sometimes. Yeah. That's the feed is live, right? So if you got pendings, boom, they're coming out of there. The new ones are going in. This thing it's an organism. It's living, it's breathing. The ad campaign is dynamically adjusting itself. So right behind that, right, we're serving properties up. Go ahead.
Can I also just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
That's the second part of the campaign. We were just showing this. This is really designed to get people to come back to your site over and over again, just like listing alerts. And the reason why that's important is, you said it in the very beginning, Bob, that people usually go to a realtor's website and that's the last time they're ever there. And what you need to do is, during their journey, condition them to make your site the source. Because if you bring them there enough times and they get used to your user interface, which Brivity's user interface is fantastic. It's just a matter of getting people conditioned that, oh, this is the one I like. This is the experience I like. And once they're conditioned to do that, then they don't go anywhere else. They become that's where companies like Zillow have spent millions of dollars to do that conditioning. We're able to do that with this campaign.
Yeah. If you don't have listings, that's okay. We can use your office listings. Somebody asked that question. So the next piece is then we have the Brivity Display Network. It's branding campaigns. We call it targeted brand saturation, customized to either if they're a buyer or they're a seller, and we just follow them everywhere they go. Within, I don't know, it takes a little 15 or 20 minutes or something after they hit your site, and now we're retargeting them with whatever types of properties they've looked at, and then we just all out assault them around the internet. Now it's not like physical assault; it's just a visual assault anywhere they go. Right? It's showing up when they're on CNN. Right? It's at the top of the Wall Street Journal. It doesn't matter. It's in Candy Crush or Clash of Clans, whatever silly games they play at night. Like it's on the USA Today. It's the Bellingham Herald locally here. It's everywhere they go. And what this leads to is people saying stuff when you call them like, yeah, I see you guys everywhere. I know who you are, right? Like you must spend $1,000 a month on advertising just to Bellingham here. Like you're everywhere. We're not everywhere. We are where they are. Right? We are where they are. We're not everywhere, just where they are. That's what we want, right? So combine in, you guys got, is this all the ways we're engaging them, right? Listing alerts and market reports. Those things you've had, if you're a Brivity client, you have those. Those are going to be important, right? Because they're going to drive people back to do behavior, to look at certain types of properties that we can then use to reinforce back again to them in the retargeting campaigns, right? Getting them the right properties. This stuff all works in conjunction to just really supercharge the engagement, right? So this is a look in Ben Kinney's CRM up here in Bellingham, Washington. And this is actually from last week. We did this last week. So this is from last Wednesday. They'd had 234 people on their site yesterday, right? Wednesday, last Tuesday. In the last week prior to that, they'd had 962. Last 14 days, 1,300. In the last 30 days, 1,900 people. It's a lot of opportunity for them. And these people, by the way, like Grant said, really high volume of visits, right? We're seeing people that are visiting the site more frequently than the listing alerts even go out, right? That are just being driven back here multiple times a day. And what it's doing, look, they have a big database. Okay, I don't know, 20,000 people or something in this big database. But every day, these numbers are ticking up. I probably should have got a better shot a week later, right? These numbers are trending north, but it is rising to the very, very top of their database, the cream of the crop, right? The people that are doing the high intent, visiting multiple times, looking, like showing these signs that they are not 12 to 18 months out, right? They're going to buy a house really soon, as long as we kind of take that last step. And that last step, in Brivity might be the dialer and getting in there and just banging through a bunch of those people and trying to get some appointments set today, right? I mean, ultimately, you're going to have to make that last little connection, right? But we're going to stay there with you all along the way to make sure they never one time forget Grant Gould or the Ben Kinney team or Randy Sumbles or Lisa King, right? Like they're going to know who you are when you call them. So convert, right? We're going to have auto plans, you guys. You're going to have your auto plans firing. If we give you the 10 days of pain, Ben Kinney's team's plans, right? Lots of ways that we can leverage these plans. And we got whatever you need. You need a Facebook one, I got one for you. On your dashboard, we'll show you those return visits, right? We're going to show you as these people are heating up, you're going to be able to watch it happen, okay? You're going to have better data immediately. And again, we go all the way back to that slide where I showed you that we actually take them from the ad and we log them right into your website. Nobody else is doing it, guys. Nobody else is doing that. It's better data immediately, right from day one. I know this is an example of a lead. You can see the date on here. So it was like a week ago, a little more than a week ago, right? That they first came in on this property and we made the name fake and stuff, but this was a real visitor into their site. This was a Facebook lead. Every other system's Facebook lead would have showed me maybe one property that they looked at. And a lot of the systems, they don't. They just give you a lead. They're like, good luck, right? This person on that same visit looked at additional properties right after. Actually, it's a later visit. At 9:18 is when they registered in the morning. Later that afternoon at 11:20 or at 1:56, we drove them back. Right? I mean, that is in action right here. First day, we have a lead. They hit every other place they would have bounced. They never would have came back. Maybe the next day they would have came back on your listing alert. Maybe we drove them back in here 4 hours later. David, take my money. All right, David, I'm going to get there really quick. Let's just bang through. Creates warmer calls, creates easier conversions. It reduces your lead gen budget potentially. Now, Grant, what we would prefer is they just kept the same lead gen budget. We just get more.
What are you talking about, Bob?
We're going to get them more, right? But with the same budget, we get you more. So here's how you do it, guys. We're done. We've only got room for 15 more people right now. We could, ultimately we'll have hundreds of people on this. Right now, as we build our team out, we want to make sure every single person gets that top-notch service from Grant, that exploratory call where we figure out the custom campaign we're going to build for your market. He says, Dibs, here's how you do it. You ready? Pull your phone out. This is how you're going to get in line, for real. Now, if you're the 16th person here, you might end up sliding in because one of the first 15 didn't want to do it. And here this is going to be the qualifier, okay? You're willing to give us feedback. You want a high volume of quality leads. You have systems in place to convert the leads. Okay, you realize the value of branding and you're committed to building a recognizable real estate brand and you want to blow your business up in 2021. Here's the real kicker, and I didn't write it on the slide here, but this is going to take half you guys are going to have to wait. I have no question, right? It's $1,500. That's the minimum budget here. Randy Sumbles, you asked earlier, what's this cost? $1,500. There's one of those guys, Jeff Elkert, is running a larger budget, and you can, right? All the rest of those people we showed are running $1,500 budgets, okay? There's no contracts or anything, but it's $1,500 in the door. Okay.
We're running 3 campaigns, so that's why it's a little bit bigger budget size to run 3 separate.
This is how you do it right now. Pull your phone out. If you want to be one of those first 15, text BC15 to 59559. So you're going to send a message to the number 59559. The body of that message, you're going to say BC15. Do it right now. What's going to happen? You're going to get a link sent back to you, or you can go jump on Grant's calendar. We did one of these last week. His calendar, boom, filled up immediately. Okay, he's got a couple of slots open, I think, this Friday afternoon, because people don't like to do business on Friday afternoon, but there's a couple slots open Friday afternoon. And then we know we're going to take the first 15 people that text this. Now, you might be number 16 and be able to jump on his calendar. And there's a high likelihood that if you're number 16, one of those first 15 isn't going to actually do it today. They're going to say, I don't know, I got to let me wait through the holidays, and I'm really going to hit the ground running in January. I'm going to wait. 15 lucky people are going to get on this thing right now, and come January, you're going to be well on your way, okay? Now, listen, if when I said 1,500, you kind of got a little bit uncomfortable, and you're like, I don't know. We do have what we call Brivity Lite, or Connect Lite. It is one element, and Grant can explain it to you. The minimum budget on that one is $500. We get you a bunch of leads. We're not going to be able to do all the other stuff that we do to re-engage these people. We can get you a ton of leads this way. Okay.
Yep.
There's 15 here. We'll take a few more on the light side if it's not as involved for us. There's not as much that goes into one of those light campaigns. But if you want everything we've been talking about here today, the full connect, which look, I'll get you a bunch of leads, right? The power of this thing, you guys, is in that the engagement that happens, the re-engaging, the targeting, the recalibrating what we're even showing to them, the driving them back, the floating them up to the top of your CRM so that you're making phone calls today, tomorrow, and Friday that are more targeted. They're better. The people are more engaged. It's really strong. I've been in a lot of databases in the last 4 months that have had these things going, and I can tell immediately, Grant, when I get into a database that has Connect running, right? The website traffic is off the charts. And like on Ben Kinney's teams, I meet with our teams every single month, and it's really easy for me to spot month over month when I get in there. Oh, and it'll be one thing I'll say to them. I'll say, hey, you guys just started Grant's Connect stuff, didn't you? And they'll say, yeah, we did. And it's obvious. It's obvious, right?
Well, I'm a very part-time real estate agent. Ben encourages us to get our license, and I run the Brivity Connect program. Lately I don't get any time to do anything because I'm so busy with my Brivity stuff, but it kind of does its own thing. That's the crazy part, is I get about a couple hours a week to even look at it, but it's kind of like taking on a life of its own, because I have engagements galore and without even calling people. And I've been on three listings. I've gotten 3 listings since September that I've generated from the campaign. So
amazing. All right, so here's the deal, Grant. It is the end of the hour. We'll stay here and answer some questions for a little bit. And I'm trying to. You guys are feverishly typing in here. So I know there were some questions earlier. Let's see if we've covered all of those. Okay. Yeah, 1,500. We got that one. Where we go? The pricing. Can you run an ad and exclude keywords like realtors and real estate agents? Some of the ad sets could potentially do that, Grant, right?
Yeah.
You know,
it's not really. I wouldn't think it's not really that necessary.
It's a minimal. You know, you think about, you know, in Bellingham, there's 100,000 people, and there's, you know, 180 agents, or whatever. It's more than that. It's, you know, 1,000 or whatever. But it's such a small set that we don't look. Are you going to get some jerk face in your market that likes to click on your ad? Sure, right. But
if you give me a list of the agents you want excluded, that in their emails and phone numbers, then yes, I could upload
he's probably like got a couple. There's probably 2 people that he's like, these guys always sign up for the website. These jerks, they're totally burning up my ad campaigns budgets. Yeah, he could do that. Natalie, what you want to do is you want to text BC15 to 59559. Grant's calendar is going to come up. Grab a slot on that thing, and then you'll show up, and he'll do the Zoom presentation with you, and you guys can ask him questions particular to your market. Kate, the full breakdown of costs, do the consultation with Grant. They can break it down where the $1,500 goes, what campaigns that goes to. So there's 3 campaigns that are running in there. There's kind of an original lead generation budget, right? Where we're running those kind of first time ads, and we're using those lookalike audiences, and we're targeting based on what you want to do. Then there's the whole retargeting component, right? Where, okay, we've generated a lead, or maybe it's even an old lead that's hitting your website, and then we're following these people all around and showing them properties similar to what they're looking at. That's the second campaign. The third campaign is the rebranding stuff that happens on all the websites that they're visiting all across, with your buyer or seller type style of ads in there. So I cannot call in. Can someone call me? Ashley, can you just like grab that phone number from Natalia there and make sure we get a call out to her from somebody?
I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. And Natalia, Grant will reach out to you, and thank you for dropping your phone number in there. Guys, look, you can look on Grant's calendar the following week. Like, just get on there, because here's the reality. We limited this thing like what we're going to do like right now, right? Come, you know, we'll open it up again, right? And we've only got so much manpower, and we want to make sure that everybody comes in the door, gets like a really high level of service, so that because again, we're building these campaigns custom. We've got other tools in the background to execute these things, right? But we really want to take care to make sure that you guys get a campaign it's going to get you the types of leads that you're after to try to build your business in 2021. Robert, yeah, we'll get everybody a recording of this, my friend. We'll send that recording out later this afternoon. Okay, so yeah, you like that, Andrew? The use of quickly there, my friend. Andrew's clearly, he knows what's going on here. All right, so I appreciate you guys joining me. Guys, I've been doing this for 19 years. I've been generating internet leads from the very first day that we stepped foot into the real estate business. This program that Grant created with the help of Jared and Josiah and Ben and me, this thing and our amazing development team, there is a massive amount of power here. And it's really a couple of really key things, right, Grant? The retargeting and the following them, the passing through of the login of the website, the lookalike audiences. I mean, these are things that are out there. We've just wrapped it all together in a big real estate bow. We call it Brivity Connect. We would love to have you guys jump on Grant's calendar and talk to him about it. We have yet to have anybody say, I don't want to do this anymore. We've had a couple people say, I got to slow it down. There's too much volume coming in here. We've had one or two that have had to pause because they can't keep up. But man, it's powerful. We're really excited about it. I hope you saw that today. I hope you felt that from us today. Grant, yes. You keep me grounded, my friend. I appreciate you because you're the cool cucumber, and I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, please get this in as many people's hands as we can. So
it's fun. I don't get to do it very much with you, but I always enjoy it.
Awesome. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. You be safe out there. Everybody wear your masks and socially distance and do all that good stuff. We don't need any of you guys getting sick over the holidays. You guys get out of here, get back to work. It's Wednesday. Crush the rest of the week. On behalf of Ashley, who was answering questions in the background, Grant, the brains of this operation, I want to say thank you to Mikey and Samantha who got you guys here. High five. You guys get out of here, go do some business, jump on Grant's calendar. We'll see you guys again here real soon on Brivity. Bye, everybody.